What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A repeatedly. Justin Tomasolo here with Christopher Gold.
Hi, everybody.
Chris, I am super sore right now.
Why are you sore?
Well, I'm doing this crazy thing of trying to get healthy again, and I went to the gym for the first time in a while.
Wait, back up. Trying to get healthy?
I know, it's
what
crazy.
What is that?
Yeah, I saw it online somewhere. I figured I'd give it a shot.
All right, continue.
Yeah, so, we're all trying to be a little better. I think it has something to do with the weather, too. You just kind of want to be outside. You want to be active. You want to be, moving.
Right. Yeah, especially now that it's not it's not so cold where you go outside and you freeze to death. Now you go outside and you burn into flames. Yeah.
It's that perfect instant transition. No middle ground whatsoever.
Nope. Yeah, forget spring or fall. We just have summer and winter now.
Yeah. But yeah, I went to the gym with Zool, and we had a pretty big workout yesterday, and I'm just really feeling it.
Yeah, I'm glad you're looking to take care of yourself. What exercise did you try doing?
I did a lot of the treadmill stuff and some exercise bike, but I also did some light lifting. It was at Planet Fitness, and I'd never been there before. That was my first time, and I didn't notice, but they have they call it a lunk alarm, and basically a lunk is what you think it would be, a huge jacked dude who drinks water out of a gallon and slams the weights on the ground. Mm-hmm. And basically whenever someone slams the weights on the ground, someone behind the front desk presses a button and this alarm goes off. And it's pretty great. They do a really good job of having everybody feel welcome, and they make it a point to say it's a judgment-free zone. So people that don't normally go to the gym or are too kind of afraid to go to the gym, they can feel more welcome there. And this one guy, he kept slamming the weights, and they kept pressing the alarm, but he had these big headphones on, and I don't think he even heard the alarm going off, so he just kept doing it, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, guys gotta feel jacked.
Yeah.
Trust me, I understand the feeling of, when you're just so powerful and you want to show off this power for as many people as possible. Sometimes the power gets to your head and you get a little cocky.
Yep. All right, Chris. How about this for a transition, okay?
Okay. Hit me.
I was lifting weights yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there is a mini game in WarioWare where you have to lift weights. And today we're talking about Minigames.
That is probably as smooth a transition as we're possibly going to get. So let's roll with that.
Yeah. So you and I were discussing what topic to talk about this week, and we thought about minigames and microgames and games within games. Basically, small versions of games that you play inside of a game, or maybe it's a package of minigames compiled into one game. And we're just going to talk about some of our favorites, some ones we don't like, and kind of whether we like the idea of a game full of minigames or if it's not really something that we'd be interested in.
Right. I also think it would be kind of interesting, too, if we talked about, why some, mainstream games have a lot of minigames peppered in. Because, overall, the minigames don't really add too much, so why would they be included in, a big, AAA budget release?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going to be towards the end of the show, as is the usual with our format. So, for the time being, let's kick things off. Justin, what are you playing?
Yes, what am I playing? Well, once again, it's not a lot because I'm pretty much entirely engulfed in God of War.
Yeah, we're in that part of the year.
Yeah, I'm taking my time with it. I'm not playing every day or whatever, but whenever I do play, I usually play for around an hour or two. And I don't want to mirror too much of what I said on our last episode, but it's great. I feel really engrossed in the story. I love the environment and the world and the setup and everything. The more I play, so it's kind of hard to pick things that I don't really like about this game, but there are some things that are kind of annoying me. And one of the things would be Atreus. He keeps talking to you about like stuff that you already know, that you're already doing, and like he's kind of like, I feel like he tells you too much sometimes in like puzzles. He's like, "Oh, what's that over there? Maybe we can move that block and put it over here, and then I can jump on it, and then you can push the block, and then I can jump off of it. Oh, look, you're moving the block, so I can jump on it, and then you can move it more, and then I can jump off of it again." And like, wow, what a great idea. And I feel like sometimes it kind of, like, there was a couple times where he just basically told me the answer. I didn't even have a chance to like figure it out. So I don't know if that's something that has to do with the difficulty or just part of the game, but like sometimes that kind of gets annoying.
I mean, I have experienced a lot of those moments where Atreus like points his A's and like he just kind of goes off to a place in the room, stares up, and he's like, "Oh, what's that over there?" I've seen that, and then I'll, monkey see, monkey do. I run up and I look up him, and sometimes I see nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm like, "What are you looking at?" And he's just staring, like when you have a cat.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like stare. They stare at like a random empty corner of the room, like real intently, and you're like, "What? What are you looking at?" That's what that's what Atreus is. But I don't know. Like maybe I'm pretty good at solving puzzles. Not to say that you're not, but
directly.
I haven't really experienced Atreus, being like, Fee from Skyward Sword, where he's like, "Oh, maybe if you do X, Y, and Z to solve the puzzle, that will solve the puzzle." Just like literally holding your hand the whole way. I honestly haven't really experienced that too much.
I think there's times when maybe they were like afraid to have too long of a gap between dialogue, but I don't know. I think that's okay sometimes. Like they don't always need to be talking to each other, and yeah, I don't know. I just feel sometimes he just talks a little bit too much, but it could be a personal preference thing. I don't know. And, it's not skewing my enjoyment of the game at all. I'm still pretty far behind you because I know you've been crushing it, but well, I guess I don't really want to say anything because I don't really want to spoil for anybody who hasn't really played it yet.
You can. I mean, you can give some light details. I think just like I guess where you are. Have you reached the lake yet?
Oh yeah, definitely reached the lake.
All right.
So I reached the top of the mountain, and then we realized that's not the highest peak in all the realms, so we have to go somewhere else. And that's where I am right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so all right. So some light spoilers here. You've met Mimir.
Yes, I've met Mimir. I did as he requested, and I completed what he requested.
Right. I love Mimir. I love him so much. He's just so like, I don't know. I just love his character.
Yeah, he's pretty like, you know what? He's a nice, almost like a comic relief and a very cheerful and like talkative and happy, I guess, kind of character that there really isn't so far in the game. So I guess that's like a nice addition to the cast.
Yeah, he helps like add an extra element because I mean, like he showed up right at the right time when Kratos and Atreus are journeying along and they're like talking to each other, like, "Oh, so do you have any stories to tell?" And it started kind of like, you could tell, kind of getting stretched thin, where it's just like, "So here we are, just us two."
Yep.
But then, along comes Mimir, and he spices things up, which is, pardon the phrase, a godsend.
Oh God, you will never stop with these puns.
Never.
Oh man. Yeah, but it's great. Still enjoying it. took some time to do some side quests. I just completed the one for Fafnir's treasure room, and it was kind of like a combat arena.
Oh, right. Yes, I've done that one too.
Yeah.
Now, did you like fully complete that quest, or did you just complete that part that takes place in Fafnir's storeroom?
I completed that part. I did not complete the quest fully yet.
Okay, yeah, I'm in the same. I'm at the same spot with that quest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fought a couple soul eaters. They, if you're unfamiliar, are like these giant stone creatures that have like a glowing fire chest, and when they open up that chest, they just shoot like lasers of fire at you. But that's also their weakness. You have to hit them in that spot, so it's like really difficult to throw your axe and get it in there, but also dodge the laser that's coming out at you. Mm-hmm. And it takes some really precise aiming and movement, and those battles tend to be pretty epic.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, but they can definitely be really frustrating, especially like I don't know. I don't want to hone in too much on your segment, but like when get the axe and I throw it, for some reason, like I try to throw the axe, and I guess just for whatever reason, Kratos thinks, oh, now's a good time to just swing the axe. And I'm like, no, you moron. I scream at the god of war. I want you to throw your axe, not swing it. So that can be... That's a little complication that I run into every once in a while, but I bring them down.
Yeah. There was one other annoyance I wanted to talk about, and that's... I feel like the crafting and the armor and stuff that you find, a lot of it is just... It's just crap. Like... I don't...
It is. It
really
is.
It's like almost pointless. I don't really understand when like a lot of games and RPGs that, you know, they'll give you armor that increases some stats but then it decreases other stats. It's like you're not progressing. Like maybe, all right, I like this stat more than the other, but like altogether, like I feel like I'm not getting stronger. And I just feel like every armor that I can either buy or whenever I find something, like it's just 90% of the time it's nothing I want to use. And like a lot of it like brings like my strength down like by a large amount, by like 15, 20 points. And I'm like, I am the god of war. I do not need my strength to be lowered. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I agree with that. A lot of the stuff that you can craft, that you can find, there just is not a lot there. Like, especially, like, it shows you, like, oh, if you build this, you know, then these are what your stats will be. And it has the comparison thing all the way on the right, and it's just all red. Yeah, your overall number is red, you know, going down.
Yeah.
And it's every single one. Nothing, like, improves it. And I have a theory that those oh god, what do you call them? Those additions you can modifications.
The talismans, or the things that you equip to the sockets.
Yes, the sockets. Yeah, the runes, the light runes, the heavy runes. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that those runes might affect your stats in some way, or the talismans. And so when you're looking at the comparisons between the armor, like you're looking at a vanilla set of the armor versus a spruced up set of the armor that you're currently wearing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're taking those numbers into account, like some numbers you might have buffed with whatever runes you have wearing. And when you get the new armor, it doesn't have those buffs equipped on it. So it's like, oh, your number is going to go way down now. So it's going to drag everything down. That might be the case. If so, then that's very poorly communicated, because that's only a theory that I have. I don't know for sure.
Yeah. I mean, for what I've been playing, I think the best action is to find a set that you like and just upgrade it when you can, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's what I'm doing right now. I found a set that increases my like strength and my defense for both the waist armor, the wrist armor, and the chest armor. And you know, it takes a while to find enough resources to upgrade, but when I can, you know, it'll increase those stats even more. And when I first bought those garments, they did not have sockets in them, but when I leveled them up to the next level, they got sockets in them, so I could add more, effects to them. So,
Right.
yeah, I think upgrading is the way to go. But yeah, I just feel whenever I open like a chest or something and it's like armor, I just like roll my eyes because it's just always crap. So
Yeah, unless like it gets later in the game and you beat some like powerful boss and then it drops armor there. Ordinarily, that armor is usually pretty good.
yeah,
But yes, it's rare to find an actual good piece of armor in there.
yeah. I don't know about you, but the skills, I love having like a million different moves to do, but I like forget them all the time. And then like I'll be looking through my skills menu later and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I even had that move and I forgot how to do it. And then I'm like trying to remember how to do a move, but I'm pressing the wrong button combo and I do another move that I didn't want to do. So sometimes that can get a little confusing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of good with skills. I find a few good skills or different skills that I like, "Ooh, that's good. That looks cool." And then I level up and then I get that skill. I mean, the skills themselves aren't really too hard to pull off. I mean, it's just usually hold this button down or aim and then hit this button or hit that button. And they're pretty cool. I like showing off a lot of the different moves that are available.
Yeah. I really like how it shows you in the corner of the screen, like when you look at the skills, like how the move actually works and stuff. I think Horizon Zero Dawn did that too. It was pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got this light runic attack where Kratos just points his axe and like a frost beam comes out of it and you could just like kind of like shoot it all over the place. It's awesome.
That's badass.
Did you not get that one?
I might have, but I just didn't use it.
Ah, got you. Yeah, it's pretty great. It's actually really effective on those soul eaters because when they open up their chest, you just shoot the beam right in there. Takes away a lot of their life.
Nice.
Yeah.
What else you got?
So, God of War, and then my indie arcade game, which we'll talk about later. And then, Chris, you came over the other day, and we went a little bit retro.
Yes, we did. Yeah, Justin, he's starting to build up a retro room in the basement of your house that you share with Butch and Zool. I don't want to have to hear that. I don't want to have to hear that lecture when they hear this. It's not just your house.
Yeah. I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod yet, but yeah, I kind of had like this project of putting together this like room downstairs in the basement where I took all my old systems that me and my brother owned growing up, mostly my Nintendo stuff. I have a Dreamcast I'll hook up down there too, and I actually don't have an original PlayStation, but I want to grab one and add that down there too. Got a CRT TV down there to play them on, and yeah, it's getting pretty cool. My Super Nintendo controllers did not work at all, and I went to a gamers, like a Dungeons and Dragons type kind of gaming store that was nearby, and they actually had some video game stuff there. They actually had some Super Nintendo controllers. They were off-brand, of course, but they actually work with your Super Nintendo. And I looked up a review. They were pretty good, so I tried them out, and yeah, they work great. And Chris, you and I played some Super Mario Kart and some Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels.
Yeah, we went a little old school there. I haven't played Super Mario Kart in a long time. If you know anything about me, I'm fairly okay at video games. I'm pretty decent. Mario Kart, that franchise is the bane of my existence.
I gotta say though, I mean, that was the first time you've played Super Mario Kart in a very long while, and you kind of picked it up and like immediately were on my butt the whole time.
Yeah, I did good. I came in second almost every single time, but it was yeah.
You got a lot of firsts.
I had a couple firsts in there. It was weird though, because I'm so used to the modern day Mario Karts where it's got like, oh, flick the controls to the left or right to do a power drift. Press this button to use the moves. This button breaks. My Super Mario Kart, it didn't have any of that, and for good reason. It only had so many buttons that they could use. Plus, it was the first iteration of the franchise.
It's surprising how innovative that game was for this time.
Yeah, it was. No one up to that point had ever decided to spin off their main franchise into hey, what if they just did something else where everyone was just goofing around and having fun, even the villains. Bowser was there too.
And Koopa Troopa.
And the Koopa Troopa, yep. And Donkey Kong Jr., pre-rare design.
Yeah. After DK Jr. math.
Oh, man. I gotta say, it was kind of it was funny, but it was disappointing to see how bad Toad and Donkey Kong Jr. were at Mario Kart, throughout the entire thing that we played.
It was shameful.
Just disgusting.
Yeah, Toad. We lapped Toad every single time.
We did. I think at one point Toad came in almost a full minute after you had crossed the finish line in first.
Yeah, that was a pretty sad experience. But yeah, after that we popped in Super Mario All-Stars. I loaded up the Lost Levels, and in the Lost Levels you can play either a Mario game or a Luigi game. So naturally I picked a Luigi game, not knowing or not remembering that Luigi controls different than Mario in that game, and he's very floaty and slidey, and he hangs in the air a lot longer than Mario, and it just made a challenging game a lot tougher.
Yeah, it was the worst.
I gotta say, you really impressed me, man, because we beat about, I don't know, we made it to World 4, I think. You beat probably 75% of those levels.
Yeah, I'm pretty badass.
It was impressive.
Some of those were just pure luck, though. I gotta say, you just see an enemy coming, I'm I jump, and Luigi would just narrowly miss another enemy as he was coming down. Man, I cannot stress to anyone out there listening how floaty Luigi was. If there was a block hanging above you and there was a cliff right next to you, that was an adventure in and of itself. Just jumping up, getting the block. If a mushroom popped out of it to make Luigi bigger, just getting to that mushroom and then getting back to safety. Mario can pull that move off easily. No questions asked, no problems. Luigi was falling to his death every single time. It was a nightmare.
How many times did I just there was just a platform surrounded by lava. All I had to do was just jump and land on the platform. And I either overshot it and fell directly into lava, or I landed on the platform and then slipped off and fell into the lava, or I landed on the platform and then jumped up again and then lost control and fell into the lava. It was ridiculous.
There was a lot of lava that you fell into.
A lot of Luigi corpses burned alive.
Well, that's what they deserve.
But yeah, that's it for me this week. What about you?
Well, if we're being 100% honest, my list is exactly the same as your list.
All right.
Yeah, so I played God of War, Super Mario Kart, and the Lost Levels as well. I guess I'll just add a little briefly to God of War.
Yeah, and we talked about it. You're pretty far. You might be pretty close to the end.
I think I'm pretty close to the end. There's a lot of story that's developed. I've hit a point now where I've hit my third point in the game where I'm feeling all right, let me just go around and explore the world, because the world is just so big and it's filled with so many different things to do and see and explore. I just love running around in the world and discovering new areas and finding the chests and fighting the giant enemies that you see, the trolls or ogres or whatever else you encounter.
That dragon fight.
Oh, that dragon fight was so badass.
Yeah.
But we'll, not gonna spoil how that fight goes, but
Not
it's
at all.
pretty badass. Yeah. I will say though, probably one of my complaints is, I guess, just the way that the control scheme itself plus the camera can be a little cumbersome and a little frustrating, especially when you're fighting like a big crowd of enemies, like a big group. Like you're fighting different enemies, and then like I want to just turn around, so I'll hit the button to turn around, and for some reason it just like I'll switch my weapons instead of turning around, and then I'll get like hit from behind, and it's just like it's just a little cumbersome. Like it's annoying to have to like constantly like flip around and just try to get all the enemies in your line of sight. It's a mess. I think the camera mostly is fine. I like how it swoops back and shows like big, huge enemies and how it works for cutscenes. I'm mostly a fan of it, but during combat, I feel like the camera gets a little hairy.
I noticed I have the problem where I have the most problem with the camera when it is during combat, but it's in like a tight space, maybe, where, Atreus is screaming because someone's firing a fireball at me, so I dodge out of the way, but because the camera's so tight behind Kratos, like, I didn't even see that there was like a pile of trees next to me or whatever, so I roll into the trees. I'm kind of like stuck there. I don't really... Like the trees stop me from rolling, right? So I just kind of... I'm still in the same spot that I was before, and I still get hit by the fireball. Or then like somebody will come up and just gang up on me. So sometimes that super close camera, can really restrict you from dodging effectively.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me too, where like I'm like, oh, here's this guy's about to wreck my shit. Time to dodge out of the way. And so I dodge immediately into a wall that was right next to me that I didn't see because I'm focusing on this like 30-foot thing that's standing in front of me. And then I just roll, I stand in place, and then he just, boom, like, wails me. Or, like, I'm fighting a huge group of Draugr, and the same thing happens. Like, I try to dodge, and I hit a tree, and I don't move out of the way, so they, like, knock me down, and I'm, like, in a fetal position covering my head as they're all standing over me and kicking me.
Yeah. How pathetic for the God of War.
Father, are you all right? Don't look at me, boy. I've got this. You look like you're having a lot of trouble.
No, this is what I want them to do. They're falling directly into my trap.
The Draugr just like look at each other and shrug and they keep kicking. Yeah, I love like just how Kratos and Atreus interact with one another too. Like, I feel like this is probably one of the best, most well-developed relationships that I've played in any video game, probably ever. They do a really good job in establishing like how connected these two are, how much they really care about one another. Like, even though Kratos, like, he's a tough badass, but you can tell like he's really trying. And Atreus, like, Atreus is funny just because like Kratos is like, boy, we must climb this mountain, we must be disciplined. And Atreus is like, okay, like, okie dokie. Like, he's such a little kid.
Yeah. I think it's developed very well in like the cutscenes and stuff, and you just really can see exactly like the struggle of Kratos and Atreus trying to just make his father proud and everything. But I think sometimes during like just actual gameplay, it feels a little scattered. Like, I remember one time I was playing and it was like one of those runic things for Atreus to read, and you need to press X to activate it. So I press X, and then Kratos is like, "Boy, come read this," and he's like, "Okay." He comes over and reads it, and then like I took like a few other steps or whatever, and found like a scroll on the ground. It was also like a press X or a press square thing. So I press square, and he goes, "Boy, here!" Like just super angry. And I'm like, "What? Where did that come from? Like 2 seconds ago, you were just so like calm and collected."
I just imagine Kratos like putting his hands to his mouth, like, "Oh my god, I said that a lot angrier than I intended it to be." I am so sorry. I am so sorry. That is not a reflection on you. That is a reflection on me.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I just love like, and the dialogue between all the characters is just really, really well done. Like it just feels like very natural. It's the dialogue whenever there are moments where you're just kind of like running along. It's placed at like really logical, smart moments where you're just kind of running and there isn't a lot going on. So Atreus would be like, "So, father, tell me about the birds and the bees." And Kratos is like, "No, you are not. No, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
But it's better dialogue than that.
Yeah, and like Kratos is bad storytelling, and then like Atreus is just like, that was just not a good story.
Yeah, Kratos is the worst storyteller, and Atreus calls him out on it, which is just hilarious because like just by virtue of the fact that Atreus is Kratos' son, he gets away with so much more than anyone else in the franchise had ever gotten past in the before. Like, Kratos has killed men violently for less than what Atreus has said to him.
Yeah, there's times when like Atreus talks back, and I'm like, of all the dads in the world, this is one you should not be talking back to.
And Kratos is just like, like he's just like, ugh, he's just so tired of it.
Yeah.
It's just really, really, I just love this game so much. Just the feels that you get when, you and Atreus are like taking out a giant beast together. You're fighting enemies. Those quiet moments where you talk to each other. It just is so good and so solid on virtually every single level. The combat is great. The environments are fantastic. The enemies are really well designed and varied enough to keep things interesting. There are some enemies at this point in the game now where I encounter them and I'm like, yeah, I got this. But I always still feel that moment of trepidation, even when seeing like minor enemies, where I'm just like, oh crap, here we go. They do a really good job in making sure that each encounter, you definitely feel like the stakes are raised a little bit. And I'm blown away by this game. This is more than I hoped for when playing the game.
It's just an incredibly solid adventure game, and if you're into that at all, like, you just have to pick this up. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it. It's a great story, great characters, great combat, like great environment. It's definitely worth a look.
Oh god, yeah, 100%. And Justin, like, you haven't even gotten to, like, for me, like halfway through the game, there's a super hype moment that happens where I was literally like, oh shit, as I was realizing where the story was going. And I mean, you might get to it. It probably will have affected me a lot more than it affected you.
Okay.
But I think eventually when you get to it, we'll talk.
All right.
We'll talk.
Sounds good to me. I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, for right now, I also played Super Mario Kart. Came in second a lot. And let me see. There was also the Lost Levels, and that's really it. Yeah, didn't do anything else.
All right, fair enough. It's pretty understandable to play nothing but God of War. So
Yeah, whereas you have been playing like an hour each night, I've pretty much been coming home and whatever free time I've had, I've just been playing God of War.
yeah,
I can't put it down. When we're done recording, I'm probably going to play God of War.
Hey, I was playing before we started recording, so
Oh, well, you got me beat. I was getting precious sleep.
yeah, fair enough. All right, well, I guess that means it's time for us to move right into the Indie Arcade.
Indie Arcade. If you remember, when I gave Justin the Indie Arcade title last time, it was the adventure game for Nintendo Switch, Burly Men at Sea. Justin, tell us about those Burly Men.
Burly Men at Sea. So, this is it's kind of a weird game to describe because, again, I've made my stance on like visual novel type games and how I'm not really sure they can be classified as a game, but this is one where you don't really do a lot. It's more, I think, interactive, like storybook would be the best two words to describe this game. You play the role of these three burly, bearded brothers who are sailors, and their names are Hasty Beard, Brave Beard, and Steady Beard. And they each have a different beard color.
Wait, they were named... Wait, they're named after their personalities and their beards?
Yeah, which means they probably were born with beards.
Oh my god. I can't even imagine. and their names were like just like, oh, this will be Steady Beard. This will be, well, I don't even, what was the first one?
Hasty Beard.
Hasty Beard. Like, why would they name them that? Go on, just go on. I'm not gonna think about it too much.
Hasty Beard like jumps to action. Brave Beard is looking for adventure, and Steady Beard is like the cautious type. And so basically, you start off. You find this message in a bottle, and you bring it to a old man in a shop, and he turns out that the message in the bottle is a map, and you basically have to kind of like try and explore the map and basically figure out like what this is the map to, and how the game works. So I actually think this game would be a lot easier to control if you were playing on PC. So I got it for Switch, and I didn't realize that it's a point and click game. And for the Switch, they want you to use you hold one Joy-Con in your hand, and you point it to the screen, and you're using the IR functionality, and there's like a cursor on the screen. And the L button redirects the cursor to the middle of the screen wherever you're pointing, and the ZL button is like your click button basically. And I gotta say, I don't know if it was maybe my angle of where I had to switch or something, but it really did not feel that great at all. It was kind of sluggish and a little bit delayed and kind of hard to drag around the screen. And I feel like if it was with a mouse, it would be a lot easier. So if you do decide to play this game, I encourage you to get it on Steam. So basically, how the game works is the presentation is kind of weird. Where imagine like a screen. Your screen is white, and there's a circle in the middle of the screen. Inside that circle is like the game. Like you see like the guys moving, and you see like the backgrounds and everything. But around the edges of that circle is just white. And if you want to move them left or right, you have to kind of point your cursor to either the right side or the left side of the circle, and it stretches the circle to either the right side or the left side of the screen, and then the guys move that way until they can't move anymore, and then they interact with something.
Huh.
And yeah, so it was kind of like a weird, creative way to present the game. As we talked about before, the graphic style is like that circle shapey kind of, that that term we coined.
Right, patent pending.
Yeah. So it looks great, but almost like a pastel-y, watercolor-y kind of feel. It really lends to the storybook theme. And how the game works is, so I beat the game in like 20 minutes. It's very short.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah. But what you do is there are other options, other routes to pick. Like basically wherever you wind up, you can pick to go left or go right. And whatever you decide, you'll encounter something else. Like in my first playthrough, I guess, like I was eaten by a whale. I met these like witches inside of the whale. I escaped the whale through the blowhole. I met death on the river Styx. I fell into the deep ocean. I met like a sea goddess. And then I was swept away by a whirlpool. And then I wound up back in the town where you start the game and back to the old man that told you about the map. And basically he tells you, oh, here's, this map has, like, there are other ways to explore this map and, other stories to be told. And then basically the game ends and then you start outside of the old man's house again. And basically you could play it again and go a different route and see who you interact with and everything. But really, it's just for the story. I mean, it's cool. Like, the characters are cool, and some of the dialogue's pretty funny. But as for actual gameplay, like, there's really nothing. You're just advancing these burly men and meeting new characters. And you can click on, like, things in the background as they walk. Like, you can put your cursor over a bird and click on it. But all it will do is, like, tweet or, like, flap its wings or something. And, like, that's it. So there's just really no point for you to really like kind of click everything, and like there's just really no interactivity for the player. And yeah, I mean it's a cute game. I like its presentation. The music's great and the sound effects are really cool. They're like all made by vocal sound effects. So like, there's one point where we met a blacksmith and like you just heard like a mouth going kink, kink, kink as like the hammer hit the anvil. Like, yeah,
like an actual mouth saying like kink
Yep.
instead of the actual sound effect.
Exactly, yeah. And like when the
That's
whirlpool swept us up, we heard so that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
It's actually really funny.
Yeah. So I think the presentation's really cool. It's probably a great game to play with with kids, because it is like it's an interactive storybook and we've got great visuals and some cool, interesting characters that you can meet. And there's different paths to go and you can meet different people. So, and like I said, the playthrough was only around 20 minutes. So I'm not sure exactly how many options there are or how many different paths you can take, but I don't know. If you're looking for some sort of just strictly story-based experience, then I would recommend it. Otherwise, you could pass on this one.
All right, cool. Burly Men
Yeah.
at Sea.
A little short, but there's really not too much to talk about for a game that's that brief.
All right. So cool. So that ends the Indie Arcade segment for this week.
That is end of the first part of the Indie Arcade segment for this week.
Well,
All right, it's time for me to give you a game, and I don't want you to freak out because I am in a great mood to give you a great game because I feel like it's been a while since you've had like a really awesome experience. And
I agree.
this game, yeah, well, you deserve it. You're putting up with a lot of crap lately.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody acknowledges this.
So this game that I'm about to give you recently came out. I'm hearing a lot about it, especially from other people that are playing it. It is a multiplayer experience that I think if you have some time, maybe you and Elena should play it this weekend. And this is available on PS4 or Steam. And that game is The Swords of Ditto. The Swords of Ditto is a roguelike action RPG that creates a unique adventure for each new hero of legend in the relentless fight against the evil Mormo. So,
right.
Yeah, my brother and Annie are actually playing this right now, and they are having a great time. I've heard a lot of talk about it on different podcasts and just online. Basically, if you took The Legend of Zelda and combined it with The Binding of Isaac, you would get The Swords of Ditto. And it's got a really cool cartoony art style, and it's just a great game to play co-op, and it's really funny, and apparently it's just, people are really enjoying it, and I think that you and like Elena or whoever would really have a great time playing it, and that is why I'm assigning it to you for this week.
Just a quick note for anyone out there listening. That's his brother Nick and his wife Annie. Not
right.
everyone.
Yeah, I should notice that.
Just Annie. Yeah, Annie. Everyone knows Annie.
Yep.
Not everyone would know. But yeah, I'm watching the trailer for right now. I love this art style. Like, this is it's so cartoony and colorful and just looks so cool. This is pretty awesome. I am a fan of this.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get this also. I might pick it up at some point too, but I think you'd really have a great time with this one. The art style is so great.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a blast with this. Even just like the banner logo for it, like, has the little octopus. I see a whale back there. The bunny with the eye patch.
With an eye patch.
Yeah, it just looks so cool. I honestly think this looks really, really badass so far. Now, can you play it single player, or is it multiplayer only?
I believe you can, yeah. I think the co-op is just like an option, but from what I've heard, it's very fun to play co-op.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to give this one a shot. All right, so I will give you a full report next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z. Chris plays the Swords of Ditto.
Yes. What do you say we take a quick break?
Yeah, let's take 5, and when we come back, we will talk about the exciting world of minigames.
Minigames. Get hype.
Welcome back to Press A Repeatedly. Just Tumso here with Chris Gold, and things are about to get mini in here.
Hey.
What have you heard?
Who's been telling you?
That's right, mini games. We're going to talk about them. Do we like them? Are they annoying? Where do they work best? There's plenty of talk about mini games, and I don't know about you, but the first thing I think of when I hear the word minigame is I think of Mario Party. And I don't think that's the first game to have mini games or to kind of rely on them. But I think it might be the first game that's like the draw of the game is the mini games.
Yeah, it's probably like the most famous collection of mini games out there. It's probably not the best collection of mini games out there. I'm pretty yeah. For me, if you want like a good collection of mini games, you want to look more towards the WarioWare series versus Mario Party.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, so mini games. What is the appeal of mini games for you? Like when you're playing a game and then it like presents like a side option here, like when we were playing A Way Out, and we were trying to escape from prison, and then we got to this farmhouse, and at the farmhouse there were horseshoes that you could throw to literally just play a game of horseshoes. And you had your turn and I had my turn, and the game just started keeping score of who had more points towards the end, and to my great shame, you won.
Yeah.
But either way, like why insert a mini game right there in that moment?
So there's two like situations that I think of mini games. One is exactly what you just described, where you're playing a solid game with a set story and everything, but there are mini games in there for you to participate to kind of break you away from the main action of the game, to just add a little bit of like fun and kind of mix things up for you and like kill some time, or just take a break from like the story of what's going on. And then there's also games that are solely based on mini games, which are a collection of mini games. But we'll start with your first point. And yeah, I don't know, something about like so that part in particular in A Way Out was kind of like a low key part. Like, right, we were like we found this old house, we went in there, we like changed our clothes, we were just trying to like investigate the area. We were looking for parts to put a car together so we can escape. And for me it was almost like, oh, here's some fun things for these guys to do that probably deserve a little bit of fun to do right now, like even like a role-playing sense, right? Like we just escaped from prison, we both are there, we don't think we should be there, although kind of we should be there, but anyway, we just outran the cops, like a huge, literally barking dogs chasing us, and we both made these incredible jumps to get away from them, and like this really high octane like action going on. And it was kind of nice to just like relax. And I remember at one point you were playing the piano, and there's a little mini game in that where you gotta press like the keys, the buttons in the correct order. We played the horseshoes.
I remember the piano. I played it beautifully, flawlessly. Some of the finest piano work you'll ever hear.
It was weird. It was almost like, in a role-playing sense, I was like, oh, these guys should take 5 and like have a little fun. But in like a gaming, as playing the game sense, I was curious to see how these mini games worked, what they had to offer, and to basically see how much thought and how in-depth that they were. And like, I just kind of have to try them all, that kind of sense, of like, if there's something for me to do in a game, I have to try it and see if I'll like it, or basically see what they put into it,
Yeah, it's just like a fun little diversion from like the main elements of the story, and it just gives you a little extra something to do and to take care of. Plus, a lot of times, in certain franchises, namely like the Zelda franchise, those mini games can actually offer like different perks and rewards for completing them that could help you complete the main storyline. Like, how many times do you play like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, and if you complete the shooting the pots with the slingshot or the bow and arrow, and you get like a bomb bag or you get a heart piece, and these all can help get you stronger and more powerful for the final fight.
Yeah, I remember there's a lot of the bow and arrow mini games in Zelda, and like shoot the floating targets kind of thing. And I think they work best in a game that's not focused on mini games. You know, like a game that has a story and a purpose. I feel like those work best when they're optional things. I feel like they can be a big nuisance if it's like, oh, you have to complete this mini game to get the key to open this door, or like to get the heart piece or whatever. Because sometimes if the like, what if you're really just bad at it? You don't have a good enough reaction time. You know, sometimes that can really frustrate you and kind of delay your experience with the game.
Yeah, we'd be remiss to talk about Zelda and mini games and not mention the fishing mini games in Ocarina of Time and like Twilight Princess and those. I feel like those fishing mini games are some of the best mini games, especially during that time period of video games, and they're just so like. They're just calming and relaxing, you know, like you just like hang out and you just toss your, throw your line into the water and you just wait for something to bite. And it's just very chill and relaxing, you know?
Yeah. It's actually funny when you think about how many games have some sort of fishing aspect in them. I remember in Final Fantasy 15, Prince Noctis's like special ability is that he knows how to fish, and you would just go to like these docks and do these fishing mini games and try and get these fish that you use for different items and stuff. But they made it like such a big deal in that game, and I think there was even like a DLC or an expansion that was like a Noctis fishing like expansion, like oh, the fishing expansion is here, like get it now. And it's like just such a weird thing. But I guess that makes sense for such a weird game. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, people love to fish. It's just like, especially in a game that's like very intense. Like, I mean, something for Ocarina of Time. Yeah, you can really go at your own pace. Like, there's no actual rush, but it's very like, you know, it's like a big grand adventure. You have to save the realm. You have to save the world. You have to defeat Ganondorf. Hey. De-stress. Take a little time. Go in this little hut over here and just fish for a little bit and just relax a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of helps you mellow out a little bit. Ocarina of Time didn't have the the weed mini game, so they had to substitute that with fishing.
Yeah. All right, so what are your thoughts on like a game that is a collection of mini games, or like like a Mario Party, a WarioWare, like a Cooking Mama, like something along those lines? We could even lump like a Professor Layton kind of thing in there, where it's just a bunch of mini puzzles for you to solve. That's basically the whole game. What are your initial thoughts on those types of games?
I honestly think those types of games are perfectly fine. Like, as long as you're playing the games and you're, like, if you enjoy the mini games and you're having fun with them and the games are designed well to get a lot of maximum enjoyment out of a lot of different people, then yeah, I have no problem with them. I tend to think that, like, I don't know, like, even like something like Professor Layton, yeah, it's like a collection of a lot of mini puzzles that you need to solve, but that's kind of borderline. Like, that's still in that like adventure / visual novel genre, so it kind of straddles the line for me. But I still really enjoy the Professor Layton games, mostly because I do enjoy solving like riddles and brain teasers like that. I think those are fun to try to think about and try to puzzle out.
Yeah.
Something like I haven't honestly I haven't played too much of Cooking Mama, so I can't speak too much about that series. But Mario Party and WarioWare, I feel like why something like WarioWare would appeal to me a lot better than Mario Party is just because like the games are formatted in such a way where it gets you to each of the mini games quickly, and each of the mini games doesn't really take too long to play.
Yeah,
See,
I mean,
Mario
they call
Party,
them Microgames.
you have to get on the big game board. You have to play. You have to get the game board. You have to roll the dice, and then like it determines the order of the game, and then it has the tutorial. And there's just like a lot of crap to get through before you can even get to the mini game that you're about to play. And there isn't even a guarantee that once you play that mini game, you're going to have fun playing that game.
Right.
And then there's the bullshit at the end or throughout the whole game where like, oh, you have all the stars, and then it's just like, oh, well, now you've got no stars, and the person in last place wins. Like, just a lot of goddamn bullshit like that. But
you seem to have a lot of resentment towards Mario Party.
Yeah, Mario Party isn't exactly the greatest. It's not my cup of tea. But I mean, I'll play it every once in a while. But I won't be like, hey guys, let's play Mario Party. But yeah, I think much more a fan of WarioWare.
Yeah, and I think what you were trying to say with Professor Layton is kind of the same thought I have, where I think the minigame collection works best when the like product around it is really great and makes sense and kind of helps it feel unified.
Yes.
You know, I think the original Mario Party was like fantastic. It was something none of us had ever thought of. It was innovative and stuff. But now they're on like Mario Party 10 or 11, and like it's totally like overstayed its welcome, right? Where I think WarioWare works so well because one, it is just weird, and like that is its main purpose, is to be weird. There are games about picking your nose. There are like super weird characters. There is like a super fancy butler that like explains to you how to properly hold the Wiimote in like a really ridiculous and like snobby way. There's a dance sequence with Jimmy T and like a bunch of cats and stuff. Like the whole embodiment of WarioWare is just super weird, and they roll with that, and it just works so well. Plus, I really love like the characters they created for that series, even if they are just a bunch of weird dudes and animals. But you know, WarioWare is like one of my hidden gems for like a game that I really love and enjoy. And when WarioWare Gold comes out for the 3DS, I'm definitely picking that up because, man, I just have so much fun playing this game.
Yeah, I think what's great about the WarioWare franchise is they just know, like, all right, you know what? It's Wario. There's just a bunch of weird characters. It's weird situations. Let's just wear this weirdness on our sleeves. You know, let's just not hide it. Let's just go full tilt. Like, even just like when you actually win some of the mini games, like in the Wii version when you're drinking the glass of water, and like once the guy finishes drinking the glass of water, like he's a bald man, but then as soon as he finishes the glass, he's like, oh, like there's a zoom in on his face, and then it pulls back, and this giant fro just grows out of his head immediately, and that signifies that, hey, you won. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense.
I forgot all about that. Oh man.
But yeah, it's just so off the wall and so weird. It's just so funny. I just love it so much.
We all have to hang out and play that and drink because it's just so much fun.
Yeah, seriously. It's just a good time in and of itself. But whereas Mario Party is like it feels more, especially each game in this franchise, like each one just feels like the same thing over and over again. It's the same format. It's just not really varied, or like, I mean, a lot of the mini games themselves are fun, and but it doesn't have the same personality that a WarioWare game has, and I think that for me is what sells it.
And I think what's most interesting about a collection of mini games is you want to see them all, you want to play them all, right? So you want to the more you play, you're just basically trying to unlock everything and try all the things they have to offer. And once you hit that point of playing them all, it's almost like, all right, I'm done with the game now, because like I know what to expect, I know how to do everything. So, I think it's kind of harder for a game like that to have a lot of replay value or anything, or to feel like more of a lasting experience once you've tried everything. So I think that's kind of how a compilation game can differ from like a full main game, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be considered a game or that they're not fun. And of course, they're way more, tuned to having like a party, playing with multiple people, and that's basically where you get the most enjoyment from them.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, there a lot of those games like the mini games, like if you're in a good group of friends or if you've got like a nice crowd with you, then yeah, that adds a lot more to the experience.
Yeah. All right, this is gonna be fun. I kind of want us to go back and forth and maybe name some mini games that we really loved in games, or ones that we just absolutely despise, and just kind of pick our favorites and least favorites. So, do you want to start? Do you have anything that comes to your mind?
You go first.
Sure. So I guess I'll start with one that I absolutely hate, and that was because there were multiple of these, but any of the slot car racing games from the Mario Party games, they controlled like garbage. I felt like it was just anybody could win just by chance. There was like no skill involved. They were just I remember just having an extremely miserable time every time that was picked, and it felt like it was picked all the time. And yeah, they just made me so frustrated, because sometimes like a lot's on the line for a mini game in Mario Party. Like, oh, I need these 10 coins to help me get a star. And like, oh, I gotta play this stupid, shitty game, and I lose, and I don't get the coins, and someone else gets the star. So yeah, it's like really, really frustrating to play slot car racing in Mario Party.
All right, here's one that I remember playing and not having a good time at. Probably the volleyball minigame from Eminem's Beach Party.
That whole game sucks.
Pretty much, yeah. Any single minigame that you could pick from there. But I remember volleyball in particular was not a good time.
Yeah.
That was one. For anyone out there who doesn't know, as in tradition, Justin's sister gets him a video game for his birthday every year, and this video game is the most like dollar store just garbage trash that you could ever imagine a video game possibly being. And one year, it was Eminem's Beach Party.
She somehow bought me 3 different Eminem's games. I didn't know they existed.
I'm looking at the Google page for it now, and it's showing Eminem's Beach Party, and people also search for Eminem's Kart Racing.
Yep,
which
I have them both.
Another gem that you own as birthday gifts.
Oh god.
But yeah, the volleyball, I mean, what can you say? It's Eminem's Beach Party. The controls are just absolute garbage. I remember the characters would like jump way high up to try to spike the ball, but like, or even to just like hit the ball into play, nothing would happen. It was just, just a wretched experience.
Oh man, yeah, that was I don't even remember the other beach sports that were in that game, but
I don't either. It's not worth looking up.
No, it's not. I really hated, and I still hate the. You mentioned volleyball. The volleyball and the jump rope game in Super Mario Odyssey, where you have to hit either 100 volleys or jump 100 ropes. Like, I don't know if it's me. It's just they are so difficult, and I feel like I'll get to like 50, 60, 70 points, and I'll just always mess up. I get so frustrated, and I don't want to do it again. And of course, you get a moon for both of those, and I just haven't been able to do either one because they are just like frustratingly impossible, and I really hate those.
Yeah, I'm with you. What amazes me too about those mini games is they have leaderboards where you can see where other people have how other people have done. There are people who are like in the like tens of thousands on those games.
Oh,
I'm like, they have to be cheating. Like, there has to be some exploit that they're doing there. Nobody is standing there for hours on end just jumping and jumping and jumping. There is something going on.
I know.
There.
They probably have that drippy, like, wooden water bird thing that just goes up and down, pressing the A button.
The little bird with the top hat on it. It's just like, just poking and poking. That thing would have to press so hard. It would have to fall down so hard to press one of those buttons. And it would have to be timed perfectly.
Somebody did it.
Hey, good for them. Where do you even buy those things?
Man.
Those, there's such a novelty item, and you see in different like TV shows or whatever, you see them. But where do you actually get them?
I don't know. I want one of those, and I want an old school Felix the Cat clock where like his tail moves and his eyes go back and forth. I want one of those.
Where like his tail goes left and his eyes go right.
Yeah,
and like back and forth. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, my birthday's coming up, so give me
I'm taking notes. Seeing what's coming next in the M&M's franchise.
Oh God, I'm sure that's coming too.
No, that's your sister's territory. Yeah. She can worry about that.
I have a few of examples that I really enjoy for mini games or games within games. And I think the first one that I can remember experiencing that I really loved was in Super Mario RPG. You unlock this mini game called Beatlemania that you eventually, I think, you can buy from this kid. He's like playing a Game Boy, and he gives it to you, and it's just a mini game where it's almost like a Space Invaders kind of thing where you are this beetle on the ground and you just move left and right and you shoot these stars at these falling like red shells. And the backgrounds of the levels are like in the Super Mario World theme, and I just remember I could play that game for like hours. Like I would just pause, my main game, Super Mario RPG. You go into your menu, load it up, and then just play. And it was so addicting. And I think there was even something, like a really good item if you get a ridiculous amount of points that I never got. But yeah, I don't know. It's just such a simple game, but I remember that being so fun.
Yeah. Let me see. I mean, the earliest that I remember playing was that fishing minigame from Ocarina of Time that I mentioned from before. That was really fun. I love trying to get the biggest fish in the middle of the pond, especially when you were adult Link. That was a struggle. Like, I would literally, like, as soon as I would hook that thing, there were times, literally, I'd be struggling for, like, maybe 10, 15 minutes after it got the hook in its mouth, just trying to reel this thing in. I'm like, holy crap. And then you reel it in, and this fish is literally as big as you. Another favorite from those minigames is the guy behind the counter. You can use your fishing rod, and you can actually, like, if you aim it at him and you cast your line at him, if you're in the right spot and if you have the right distance, you can actually hook his hat and pull it off of his head.
Oh, really? I don't think I ever knew that.
You never knew that? Yeah. Yeah, you could literally, like, yank it off his head, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, he's really self-conscious about his bald head. And he's like, no. He's like, give that back. And then you can turn around and then cast your line into the pond. And the hat, like, if you jostle the hook back and forth, you'll knock the hat off and it'll sink and just disappear to the bottom of the pond. And the guy just screams, no! He's like, what have you done?
That's crazy.
I think after that you have to, like, I forget how much you have to like pay him to reimburse him for the hat, but it's 100% worth it.
Well, these next few, I definitely know that you've played these as well, so we both can talk about them. The first one I'll talk about is in Stardew Valley, The Journey of the Prairie King, the arcade cabinet that you can play at the pub.
Yes.
I remember that, like, it was like a really in-depth game that it could have been something that you could download on a phone or something to play mobile. Like, it had all these levels to it and different items to help you, and it was like a twin-stick shooter where all these enemies come out from different angles, and, you know, it was definitely not the first of its kind, but it was just a really great one of those, you know. And I remember sinking a lot of hours into that. And like, I remember, like, all right, I worked all day on my farm. I'm gonna go to the pub. I'm gonna have a beer, and I'm gonna play Journey of the Prairie King for a while. And like, I remember trying to make it pretty far. I remember getting pretty tough. Like, that was a really well done game within a game.
Yeah, that one is one of the best. I love those like little, like, that seems to be a trend nowadays. Like with some games, like they have an arcade cabinet inside the game.
Yeah,
and you can just kind of like hop in there and just play a little mini game right in there. Like, now that you mention it, another mini game that I really enjoy, I forget what it's called, but it's the mini game from Night in the Woods.
Oh, when they play in the band together?
No, not the band. Although that's pretty cool. It's the one on May's computer where you hop in and you have to climb the tower. Yeah, you have to like fight all these different enemies as you climb your way up. Like that, in it, like, honestly, if they had released that game like separately, that would have been a really cool game in and of itself.
I completely forgot about that, and that's an excellent pick. Yeah, that was so well done.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, you literally, it's like a dungeon crawl where you just like have to climb this tower and you have to defeat all these enemies and unlock these chests to find keys, and there's like a boss at the end of each level. Like, it's really, really well done and really in depth. That one was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Isn't there a second arcade cabinet in the pub in Stardew Valley that you have to unlock later somehow?
There might be. I don't really remember, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I never unlocked it. I also want to talk about Squid Jump in Splatoon.
Yes, if you didn't bring it up, I was going to bring it up.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent, not only mini game within the game, but an excellent use of just waiting waiting in the lobby while your match is being put together. I really missed it when waiting for games when I was playing Splatoon 2. Yeah, I thought that would have been a perfect game for them to put on phone for like Nintendo mobile projects, and they just never did. And like, I don't know, maybe they had trouble trying to figure out how to monetize from it. But if that was just a game that you could just buy for like $2 to $5, like, I would buy that. Like, I had so much fun playing that game. I think it would work perfect on a phone.
Oh, 100%. If they had released Squid Jump as a mobile game, yeah. Honestly, when they first mentioned way back when that they were partnering with DNA to make mobile games, one of my first thoughts was, oh, I bet they're going to make Squid Jump like a standalone game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have paid money for it, because literally it's just like, it's perfect. You would just like put your finger on the screen to hold that you tap the screen and the squid would jump. You hold your finger on the screen to charge up a jump, and you release to let it go. Oh man, it was just so simple and so fun. Like, what more do you want from a minigame, honestly?
Yeah.
And just like you said, as you're waiting for everything to load up in the first Splatoon, you just play as many games of Squid Jump as you can. Just try to get higher and higher. I really, really missed it in Splatoon 2. That honestly was, to me, one of the most disappointing things about Splatoon 2 is that it didn't have Squid Jump.
Yeah. And There's actually a few other mini games that you could play in Splatoon, but you can only unlock them apparently with having the right amiibo figures, so that kind of blows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else you got?
The last one I have is one that I didn't spend a lot of time with, but I thought it was really awesome and in-depth, and that would be the games that you can play on your Pip-Boy in Fallout 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I don't know so much about this because I never picked up Fallout 4.
But you've played Fallout 3, and there's the same thing in that one, right?
Is there?
I don't know. There's a lot to find in these games.
There was a lot. I was up to my neck in ghouls and the different soldiers and just trying to survive out there. Raiders. I had a lot on my plate to worry about playing games on my Pip-Boy.
Yeah. So I'm looking up right now some of the games that you can play on your Pip-Boy in Fallout 4. And they are called Red Menace, Atomic Command, Zeta Invaders, Pipfall, and Grognok the Barbarian and the Ruby Ruins. And
that's awesome.
I think I had a few of these, but the only one that I actually played was Grognok the Barbarian and the Ruby Ruins. And I remember I was like, let me just take like 5 minutes to check this out. And it was like this in-depth text adventure game. And I remember being so impressed of like how in-depth the game it was. It could have been like an NES or a Super NES game, like of just how much there was to do there. And I barely remember it, but like it was like an RPG style where you're like doing some of these fights and you kind of choose what you want the character to do, and you can level up and meet new characters and stuff. And I just thought it was so cool that like a team or several different teams in Bethesda were like working on games to put inside of a Pip-Boy that some people might not ever even find nor play in their entire experience with Fallout 4. And I don't know, I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's man, that blows my mind. Like, there's just so much to do in those games. Like, how can they fit so much content in those games and still just make it feel like I love those games so much. They're the best.
Yeah, it's just really impressive, and of course, hats off to all the developers for putting all that cool stuff in there and giving us other options to play if we get a little tired of the main story or just want a break. It's really nice to have something else to kind of refresh yourself inside of the game that you're playing.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's gonna do it for me.
Yeah, me too. I think we hit a good stopping off point here.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. No one really gives a lot of attention to mini games out there, so it's nice to kind of shine a light on them and see like what were some of the good ones, some of the bad ones, and just why we love the mini games so much.
Yeah, and if there's some, we only touched on a few here, but if there's some that you really love or you wish we talked about, email us at parpodcast@gmail.com and tell us.
Yes, or tell us which mini games that we loved that you hate, or vice versa, and tell us why we're idiots for having the opinions that we do.
Or how great slot car racing is.
Or, for all you M&M's fans out there, furiously smashing away at your keyboard. It's like, how dare you?
I don't think anybody in the world is an M&M's fan.
Well, there are M&M's fans. There are no M&M's video game fans.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hop off and eat a bag of M&M's now.
Sounds good. Not a sponsor of the show.
Not a sponsor.
All right, Chris, that's all for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes Tuesdays on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show, or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and will really help us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Press A Repeatedly. I'm at cgold113. Justin is at oaf7724. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's parpodcast@gmail.com. That's all for this week. Chris and Justin signing off. And remember to smash your way through the Ancient's bag to get its juicy, juicy heart. Press A repeatedly.
You eat the heart of the ancient?
Well, you don't eat it, but yeah, I mean, if you season it a little bit and fry it up in some extra virgin olive oil, it can be pretty tasty.
Gross.